Yeah, those years, Oakley floods. You wanna say, I gotta do, pull some down the diversion. And these houses won't flood. No, it has logs and stuff in. They won't take it. Yeah, those years, Oakley floods. All that. You wanna say, I gotta do, pull some down the diversion. Sure. Well,
Nice house, more houses. Keep taking my fishing home, stay, that's fine. I'll catch you on somewhere.
many people about that.
And please remember to turn on your mics. Tommy,
Well.
please remember to turn your mics when the meeting starts. Yes, you did last meeting. And I was trying to, you listen to it, I'm like, that's full blast.
I do remember the guy over there on the river.
Thank you.
Selling trinkets.
They have us over here in the office about it.
Well, it's better than he was that one day out here on all this
Well, he's on county property.
county property.
So he.
Well, he had him from the corner up to,
belligerent. He'd shoot our people out in the county because we told him he couldn't be. Had to be on private property or in public right of way, not on a utility easement and not on like county
is it the same kid over there today?
property.
That's on the city walkway.
Yeah.
Well, you
So
took,
it's in right of way, so it's public space, but he was not having it. He has case law and he just cussed our people.
oh, you approached him again today or?
No, he called and said he's in litigation with Garden City and wanted to know how he got a solicitor's license to, and he said everything he was setting up, and we're like, you can be in public space, but you can't put signs. Can't put signs and everything else in the park strip.
Hey, how are you?
They wanted to go in the park strip on the sidewalk,
Dave,
you know, and our sign ordinance doesn't allow that, and you can't set up shop, and then he doesn't need a business license or solicitor's license, because he only takes donations. So it was quite an eventful morning.
same kid.
Oh. Okay.
Hey,
Sure,
you came.
I did. Yeah, I wanted to meet everyone, so.
So she was on our water tour today and she introduced herself to us and she says, when's your next city council meeting? And I said, 5:30 is a work meeting. So she replaced Kira. Burkle.
Tiara.
Yara, and I can't pronounce your last name.
Seer,
Let's see.
both, it's just hard, so I answered many things close.
Well, I didn't know you was coming, but yeah.
I can't see the whole time without stuff going on, but I wanted to say hi to everyone and.
I'm Jeffrey Richards,
Jeffrey.
on the city council.
Tony, yeah.
And we've met,
We have, yeah,
yes, we met at Bay at Leeds.
that's right, okay. I just texted you,
Good.
and I'm like, cause I was trying to get it over there and it was all locked, and I'm like, shoot, where do they meet, so.
Yara, did you ever get,
Alexander.
Alexander, nice to meet you.
I'm Eric Turner. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi Bailey, I'm the city manager.
Oh, okay, great.
your name may have come up time or two today. I can't remember. It was all good. It was all good. So did you get your lunch eaten?
Mostly, yeah, so. Around my lunch there for a while.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for
Yeah, I do.
Did you like the tour today? You ever been on it before? It is pretty interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
The sewer. Months ago, but on the whole Weaver Basin.
You know, that tunnel he was talking about, the one that it does Mountain Green. Did you hear him say today? I heard it before, 3.5 miles. That tunnel's 3.5 miles. And he said they started on both ends. And it was in the 40s or 50s. I can't remember when it was. And he said when they met, they were an inch off.
Gosh,
Clear back then.
yeah. Are we thinking about this technology today, but they could still think about back then? It's crazy.
3.5.
You go tube down that.
That would be so awesome.
I asked a question today. I said, They said, everything's gravity fed because we take it out, clear it by Stoddard, we run it down a concrete line canal down to the mountain green, and we run it through. It comes out down, on the other end, the other side, side of the mountain. And everything is gravity fed. And I'm sitting there going, how did they push it up that hill where they're just, where they're doing all that new construction? It still pushes, all gravity fed, pushes it all up to the facility.
Higher up.
Yeah,
pushes
yeah, it's
it.
a higher elevation.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's higher than the hill.
Well,
What did he, did you was on the tour the whole time. What did he say that was, a $80-something million project?
Yeah, yeah. It's-
That thing they're working on down there?
Like a
Yeah.
big honor.
And
Yeah.
I think he said both sides were gonna be 80, and so they only had enough to do one side.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna push off the other one.
Yeah.
That's more funding.
We should probably hear a report from you.
So,
But it'd take a few minutes and get up to date on.
She told us she's gonna get us as much money as she possibly can.
That I will never raise taxes, but if the money is there. then I don't have to raise it.
Well, let's begin with our, what is the day, June 24th, 2025, our city work meeting. So. Before we begin with the meeting, is there any changes or anything we need on the minutes from the May 13th meeting?
Not that I see.
Okay, so let's see, so are we ready to approve the minutes of the May 13th meeting?
I will make that motion that we approve of the minutes, May 13th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Tony, a second. From Eric, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we can welcome you. We got the baloney out of the way, if we want to call it that. But if you'd like to take a minute, introduce yourself, then there's a mic right over there, or you can just hold it. There you go.
right there.
I like that.
Go.
Okay.
I like that.
So I'm Tiara Oxier, and I took over for Kara Brookland's position when she resigned. And so I was elected in January, right before the session started. And so that was really fun and a lot to process. And I'm a tax accountant by profession. And so I felt like there was a lot I could do at the state as far as that went. And I had, in one of my committees, I'm on an education committee, and I'd found an automatic tax increase that the legislature was putting on districts that they didn't have any say over. And it was just compounding and had gotten to 200 million and was compounding by at least 30 million a year. It was going to continue to go forever. And so I ran a bill to get rid of that, and I did. So I was really glad about that as a freshman to get a property tax bill through. And then also I ran a rural schools funding bill that will help out our district if they apply for it. And it's to help with athletic facilities, and it's just a one-time grant. And then as far as things I'm really interested in, I'm interested in agriculture. I'm trying to figure out and working with different people, my colleagues. I was on the phone today to the USDA a lot, and trying to figure out how we can protect our ag land and help our rural communities. And, looking at different ways of protecting the family farms when it passes through generations, trying to support our local economies by investing in local food, looking at different ways to be able to do that through the school system, and helping kids learn to have some pride about what we grow. And so I'm really excited about that. So I serve on education and I serve on judiciary. And so I don't know as much about judiciary, but I spent all day yesterday at the district attorney's office and getting a crash course there. But I definitely want to be very accessible to anything that you guys may need from me. And yeah, I would say part of what brought me into politics was working in the schools. I've been on community councils for years at the school level and really caring about, what my kids are learning and what's going on in the school districts. And so I'm very strong for parents' rights and local control. But that's me. But I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys have any.
I can say that she answers texts.
I do.
Appreciate you sending the little email updates and notices. I read those.
Oh, I'm glad.
Other than during your regular session, the first couple of months of the year there, how much time a week do you spend in your assignment?
It's a lot. And I think especially right now because I'm new, I'm trying to get out and meet everyone. I'm learning and doing a lot of site visits. But I mean, it's hours of emails and calls. And then on top of that, the things that I'm working for next session, working with all of those different people. So it's a lot. Basically, I've been told it will take as however much I give it. And that seems to be true right now. So
How much as you want?
yeah,
You were appointed, when are you next up for election?
next year. Next year I will be. So it's a 2-year term.
Okay.
So I would serve all the way through next year and then the election would be in November.
Do you go through the typical process with a caucus versus a vote collection? Do you have to go through that same thing?
Yeah. So when I was elected, just barely, it was through the caucus system,
Okay.
just because it wasn't during the normal voting time. But now I will go through the regular caucus, primary, general.
Okay. But you'd also have the route of collecting the signatures.
I could.
Yeah.
I could. I'm a strong believer in the caucus system. I think that it gives me an opportunity to talk to everyone. I called every single delegate and had a very long conversation with them to convince them. I mean, there was 8 of us running and I was a nobody that no one had ever heard of me. I hadn't been involved in things. And so I was able to share my ideas and here I am. So I'm a big believer in the caucus system.
Thanks for being with us tonight.
Yeah, of course. Thanks.
Just one thing if I
Go ahead,
could, so
Jess.
not to speak for the group, but one thing as a city is we really enjoy having a representative that helps buffer the state control over local government. So that idea of preserving farming, every year we get our tools taken away by the state through land use mandates. Because the mandate is to build housing, like no question, get out of the way, and cities are viewed as a barrier. So we're a city trying to build communities and we put things where they belong according to our general plan. And then the state comes and basically says, ignore your general plan. And some years it's like, we're really close to saying, like, you can't require driveways, on houses every year. It gets a little crazy. And so just during the session, we're part of the Utah League of Cities and Towns. And so you might get some text from me on when important stuff comes up, but we just appreciate the local support. So you know how the state feels about the federal government.
It's the
Cities
same
feel the
way.
same
Yes, for sure.
about states, because not everything requires state legislation.
I agree.
And a lot of the conversations that go to the state have never happened at the local level. Like, it would be amazing to say, have you tried to work this out within one city? No, that's never happened. We just run straight to the state and try and.
It's true. I agree. I mean, even with the preliminary incorporations law that passed, I'm really against that because it basically is talking about property rights for those couple people, but then
They don't even.
what happens to the community that everyone's left behind to deal with? And you want to live with neighbors and there's concessions you need to make. And so I'm really against that. And so,
Ty, it's probably fair to say that the last maybe 5 years, any state legislation almost any has taken away an ability for for a city or a smaller community to do what they want to do. I mean, just go down the list, ADUs. I'm not saying that maybe it doesn't all work out and maybe it's good, but ADUs, subdivision ordinance, we just had to redo ours, but it changes the way, and I guess maybe the hard part is the mandate rather than saying.
So there's zero credit
Here's some
for,
input.
yeah, there's zero credit for what we've already done. Cause the housing is an issue. We want a variety of housing options and we have, pretty much every project in 10 years or 8 years that I've been here, we've increased the density. But we're still just viewed as a barrier to anything the development community wants, and should be more of a partnership. They should be more interested in building communities that they want to leave behind, but we just all the time, what it really feels like is Wasatch Front problems get changed into state mandates, and then you're like, do they really feel this way in Loa? Or you know what? Yeah, it's like, are they having this big housing crisis when they don't have any growth whatsoever? And
Yeah.
but it's still a mandate for everybody across the board. So sometimes some of our wins too are when they do happen and you can't stop them is sometimes going for a class 3 or below exemption. To, you know what I mean? Because really ag land is not on the discussion
That's true.
for
And
development. It's not even on, it's all future growth.
Yeah.
There's zero talk about it preserving.
Yeah. I'd love to visit with you sometime
Please, yeah,
because I actually do live on a multi-generational farm.
okay,
I've
great.
been here in Morgan since 1887.
Wow.
We still have the original deed and, you know, you just struggle finding, you know, the balance, I guess is what
Yeah.
I try to say. I mean, it's a tough business to stay in those family farms but yet I find that all my neighbors want to preserve that open space, but man, it
Mhm.
gets, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Mayor, would you mind just texting them my phone number? I didn't bring any cards with me, sorry. I wasn't prepared as far as that went, but I'd be happy. And then especially, please reach out and let me know those bills, you know.
Come up, yeah.
Yeah. Because there's so many and
Yeah, you're not
it's,
gonna be able to keep track of it.
things change in them too. You know, you think you read it once and then
Yeah.
it's a different bill when it shows up.
Sometimes we have these little, like, it just changed now, contacts your representative so they know how it impacts the community.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's so important.
Yep.
Yep. All right, thank you.
You say you want me to share your phone number?
Yeah, you can just text it out. You don't have to say it online. But it is on the state website too, if anyone wants to get a hold of me.
But anyway.
I will send it out. I won't speak it over the
Okay, thanks.
microphone. So
Thank you.
everybody gets it.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Although I am happy to be contacted.
So I have two numbers.
One that ends with 37 is the right one. I mean,
Numbers and either-
01, 3701. That's it. That's it.
You want me to share?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's good. Thanks.
right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
awesome.
Congratulations.
Well, I'm glad I bumped into you
And
today,
then-
yeah.
Just appreciate your words. The same thing we talked about at Lee's, and you were very positive about things. And so thank you.
It's kind of funny. She says, when's your next city council meeting? 5:30.
You guys, please reach out and I'll be around.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your dedication.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's know Gary yet, right?
Haven't seen him.
Any word? Planning on coming? Okay, well, let's move into the work meeting on the amended 2025 budget. Any comments before we have Ty or?
Yeah, Ty could introduce it to us.
Yes.
May answer some questions.
Yeah, so this is kind of just an annual process where at the end of the year, we look at where we're at and, it's a timing game. I mention that every time of, like right now, it's our road project on West Young Street that either it gets finished this budget year or next budget year. And we're planning on this budget year, which means we only have till July 1st. But you can see that the amended budget is, quite a bit larger than the original budget, and most of that is appropriation of beginning fund balance and expenses in the road department. So that's what that's trying to capture. The general government administration and those are actually, the amended budget actually goes down by about 200,000. The public safety one's pretty flat. That's pretty programmed out. And then it's just the road department goes up about $1 million just to spend fund balance of the local option sales tax that we've collected over the last couple of years and we haven't spent. So we're trying to get this West Young Street project done out of our general fund and not out of the capital budget if we can help it. So that's the big, and then the other big change is we did add transferring 500,000 from general fund to capital improvements to help with that capital improvement project list. So we saved enough money during the year to transfer 500,000, and we've already made that transaction. So and the original budget had 22,000. So
That doesn't have anything to do with the RDA
mm-mm.
project. Okay, that's just your capital list then.
So Ty, for my education, okay,
Mhm.
as I'm looking at the budget, 39,300,
Should pull this up.
it's the contributions and transfers, it's the amended budget is 1,000,005.
Yeah, the appropriation of beginning fund balance.
Yeah, is that the 500? Is that what you're talking about
Yeah.
there?
That's the
Okay.
biggest thing. That's where the increase to the entire budget comes from is using fund balance of money that we've already have on the books.
Okay,
That reduced the amount, that was reduced to 500 for the final budget.
Mhm.
Okay. A little farther up on that same page, Ty, do we have time to talk about a few specific items?
Sure,
Okay.
I think so. We're up till 6:15, so.
Grant revenue, the final budget was 315. Probably, I know you told us before, what was that?
That was our generator project.
Okay. This needs to be paid for.
Yeah, but it's complete.
Okay.
and before I forget, Ty, because I'll forget if I don't ask right now. So when we start looking at our final budget for 2026,
Mhm.
those budget numbers, do they include the approval of a met tax?
Mhm.
They include that 6% met tax?
Yep. So when we get to the city council meeting, the final budget's last on the agenda. So we have time to talk about the met tax and go through that process first, and then the certified tax rate. And then based on those decisions, then we'll either adopt the final budget or we'll postpone till June.
So
Till August, sorry.
does the final budget that we're gonna talk about tonight, does that also include not only the met tax, but
It
the
includes-
certified tax rate just being static, just?
Yeah, based on the recommendation in the
Okay.
packet. And then, if, depending on those decisions, we can amend the final budget and adopt it tonight unless it's certified tax rate, and then we have to wait till August to do truth and taxation.
I guess I should say the certified tax rate would be static, but it would be the suggested certified tax rate, correct?
Mhm.
That's a great question, Tony.
Okay. All right.
We probably could save ourselves.
I mean, it probably come up at the wrong time, but I thought I'll forget to ask that if I don't
Well, I
ask
think
it.
we could save ourselves a bunch of time if we just
Okay,
talked about it now. Because
Yeah, and that's all, they're all agenda items for the work session.
yeah,
So whatever else you wanna. But. And then most of the other the budget amendments are just cleaning up just our actuals.
match.
Matched, yeah. But I feel pretty good about where the budget's at, where we've done. Most everything came in under budget as far as expenses.
For
So
this year.
this year, so the big amendment is the big projects, but not a big increase in operational expenses.
Ty, 36,300, it is state treasurer's general fund, is it interest? Is that what that is?
36 through, yeah,
Okay. So, okay. So we amended it to 340, in the tentative, we put 250, but we just increased it back up to 340 on the final, correct? Looks like.
yeah,
Okay,
and that's
Is
a
it-
function of interest rates, so.
pardon?
That's a function of interest
Right.
rates, yep.
Right,
That could vary.
right. I understand. I was just curious if that's what it was, so.
Yep.
Ty, look at 49,620, tentative budget of 240 and final budget of 0. The grant expenses, is that related to the generator also?
Which one's that, Dave?
49,260,
49,
page 2,
49, 260?
or I'm sorry, 620. Glad I'm not a banker, huh?
49, 620?
Yeah,
Oh,
let me handle your investments, Gary. There you go.
Just don't swap
Oh,
numbers the wrong
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
yeah, the grant expenses, yeah.
Look that one up real fast. Just so I don't mix them up.
Yeah, so we had 240 on the tentative and showing 0 on the final.
0.
Oh, for next year.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought you were doing amended budget. So yeah, for next year, we don't have a grant
Okay.
on
Yeah,
the books
probably-
for that line item, yeah.
maybe we're not, if we're talking about amended, I'm doing finals, so should I wait?
No,
We can move on though.
Okay.
30, looks like 600, 400,000 there in miscellaneous revenue. Is that part of moving money around? This is capital projects fund.
Yes, and I can't remember off the top of my head, I can't remember where that would be coming from.
Being miscellaneous, huh?
Is the transfer from the general fund is the 500,000.
Go down to 39,300 appropriation of fund beginning balance. That's up to from 692 tentative to the 1290 or 1.292 final. That is that our,
That's because
that's the amount that you're adding to it.
yeah. And most of that's because if you go down to 4730,
Okay, that was my next one. Yeah, we're going from 1 million to 2.
yeah, so we're adding a million, and most of that is not knowing what the price of the property where the power station is gonna go. So it's capital improvement, non-building. We need to buy that property over there. Of course, you know, the first property over here by the
That would go towards the purchase.
buying property. Yeah.
Oops. Go ahead.
All right, do it. Yeah, if you,
I'm looking at, can I look at 3930 for just a minute, Ty?
Yeah,
Just for my education, the appropriation of CP fund beginning balance. So we had a blended budget of a tentative budget of 692. Now our final budget's 1292. Is that
yeah, we upped the capital outlay from 1 million to 2 million.
okay?
And then it includes that other 400,000, and I'm spacing on what the 400,000
okay.
miscellaneous revenue.
Call me at 2 in the morning.
Maybe by the time we get into the meeting, I'll remember.
The light turns on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shoot.
But that was that capital outlay. Is that what that was? The one I was just mentioning, the 39,300?
Yeah.
Appropriation of CP fund beginning balance.
Yep.
Okay.
Question on water fund, on the meters, you got a budget of 145,000. I mean, historically, we've spent 1533. It's like last year we were looking at 85. Well, even year to date was only 33,000. Number 40 looks like 580.
Yeah. So one of the things we have to do is in North Morgan, where we don't have a secondary water system, but we have all the infrastructure for secondary water. We need to install meters
Gotcha.
on all those connections, even though we won't be billing the meters, but we got to start putting extra meters on.
Is there grant money for that?
No, they ran out.
Really?
Yeah, so the state made a mandate, everyone made a rush on the money, and then because it's not a secondary water system.
I see. Didn't qualify.
Yeah, so we don't have a secondary water company. But when people put in the infrastructure, we make them put in irrigation. We feed it all with culinary water, but all the pipes, all the valving
Is independent.
is independent. So all the yards are all that. And then one day, if we ever do have a secondary water system, like if we build a pond up on the side of the hill and pump out of the river or something, then it can just
Yeah, it's an easy.
easy switch. And so, but all of those connections, we don't have meters.
Companies, though, they got grants, right, for the
Yeah,
meters?
yeah, Morgan Secondary Water got a grant for their meters, but that's where the extra meter expense comes in.
I mean, that doesn't beg any increase in fees, or water rates or anything like that. It's probably not doesn't move the needle enough to do that.
Mhm.
Okay,
We just worked it into the
Yeah.
annual budget.
okay. Um,
Is that just mahogany
Mhm,
on the secondary?
mhm.
Oh, I don't know.
You'll go read 2 meters at their residence when you get those going.
What's that?
Each residence has 2 meter, will
We'll
have
have 2 meters, yeah. They have the connection right now, it just doesn't have a meter on it.
Will you have to read both meters or just
Eventually,
whenever it switches over? But right now you can just
yep,
use your usage off of the one.
yeah.
yeah, and that wouldn't be unlike ours. We have 2 meters
Sure.
for the culinary and the secondary, yeah.
Yep.
So on the secondary there's not a limit of their gallons?
Mm. No, they pay a monthly, they have a different fee structure on that side of town, so they pay a different monthly rate.
You talk about mahogany.
Mahogany.
Mahogany Ridge now. Yeah, because that's what how it was set up in the beginning. Yeah,
It was all part of a special improvement district.
and they're leasing water from Weber Basin.
Yeah, we're looking at that fee structure though too, because it hasn't been studied in a while, so,
Probably a good idea.
yeah. Where we're leasing the water. There's master meters, so it's not like it's just a free-for-all. We build the HOA. You know, and all of the connections pay a monthly amount, but it is metered at the HOA. On secondary, so.
Last question, Ty, is the sewer fund.
Okay.
Showing a shortfall of $93,000, but then that appears to be covered with impact fee collections. Is that a concern? Do we need to revisit that? I mean, the shortfall just from day-to-day operations?
No, as most of it is like having it made up by the impact fees or the non-operating
Mhm.
revenue balances the budget, so it's not a huge deficit. And
Doesn't, well, when you look at the actual, I mean, there's a big difference between a $93,000 loss and what we did in 25 of almost a $300,000 surplus.
yeah, and the other thing is in that fund, we actually have the largest fund balance of all of our funds.
Okay,
Um,
largest war chest, huh?
mhm,
Okay.
yeah, so I feel
Got
good
some wiggle
about,
room if we need it then.
yeah,
All right. Yeah, the good news is it's not a trend.
yep.
So I got thinking about it. So on the, not that it's a huge fund, but the sanitation fund. So with the recycling going to be moving forward in the next fiscal year, is this budget sort of taking a shot at that as well, or did you making some assumptions there, or?
Yeah, you can see that the amended budget takes into account all the additional expense that we had. So, let me see where
Is it also taking into account the collections on the revenue side?
yeah, so the revenue went from an estimate of 410
530,
to 530.
yeah,
Yeah, and so we really just have to see how that plays out.
right.
We did get our first notice that our diversion grant got approved, and we haven't seen the check yet. But we're starting to get some of that grant money back for,
Probably would take a little time to
figure that out.
develop that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
What that diversion would be, I guess.
But the district said we're,
Should start, but it should start right off the bat,
Rebates.
yeah. Okay,
yep. But it does contemplate a higher revenue, and
or, okay, I was just, I
It's
just
just-
assumed that,
just this year took a big hit because we had to buy all the cans
right.
up front,
Mhm.
so,
Okay, I just want, I assumed your final budget took that into consideration, so.
Yeah. yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Okay. Good,
On all
good
the work you
answers.
do, kudos you do on all the work you do on the budget.
Yes.
Before you came along, we sat down with our own little individual portfolios and tried to
Yeah.
hammer this out. It wasn't, it
So
wasn't a lot of fun.
No, it wasn't.
it's hard to know which format's the best too, but up on the rostrum, I have the printed budget book. And that's the one that we published to the website, and it has all the charts and graphs, so it's a
Yeah.
little easier.
Yeah,
Well, you got your,
yeah.
so that was the working. I don't know, that seems to be the time consuming part of the
I'll bet.
deal, but it's all good. And I will try and remember where the miscellaneous revenue is coming from. I'm blanking right now. Once you get it figured out, you move on, and then when it balances, then you really move on.
Go to bed.
And you're like, don't touch anything again. But that whole process of getting it to balance is a lot of movement. One thing changes to others, so. 400.
Okay.
Oh, I know what that is. So that's, through the COG, we received approval from COG to recommend to the county to give us $400,000 of corridor preservation money towards the purchase of the property by the bus garage, I mean, by the UDOT shed. So where we upped the budget from 1 million to 2 million.
Okay, that was for the road, is that right?
So that includes the expense side is 2 million, contemplating purchasing the two properties, but one of them, we're gonna get 400,000 back from the
Nice.
county.
Good memory.
And we don't have a grant line item in
Capital
capital.
purchase aligns the road, as I remember, helps
Yep,
line it up to get back into. it.
Yep. so,
Evens it on,
yep,
because of a curve there or something.
Did that get approved for 400?
yeah, it got approved for 400, yep. So
Tony and Jeff's
That's
good work.
I don't know why I blanked on that, but I'm like,
We did our best, Dave.
Okay. Is there any? We got about 5 minutes. Anything else that we want to bring up in these 5 items?
so I have one, we don't need to necessarily address it tonight, but the storm, so when I was going through the ordinance for the Met tax and numbering the ordinance to adopt the Met tax, we have an ordinance in there for a stormwater utility fee. So we've already adopted an ordinance to charge a stormwater utility fee, but on our fee schedule, we don't have a fee. I don't know if it existed at one point, but Lance and I have talked about that for a long time. We have just one stormwater project to go from 100 South through the school's property to the river. That's like a $1.3 million project with no funding. And then all through town, every project, we struggle putting in sumps and things like that. So even if it was like $2 a month or something like that, I just wanted to bring up the fact that we have that ordinance adopted. So we can address it at a future date. It's not as part of the budget, but if we were interested in collecting money towards storm drain system, and we have a bunch of stormwater problems in the city. It's just
So would
super
that,
flat.
how would that be a monthly fee
It would just,
to the resident?
yep, it'd just go on your utility bill just as a flat fee.
Okay.
Mm,
There
$2.
isn't any mechanism to collect fees from developers, or maybe one-time events, impact fees or things like that?
You could set one up. That's a different process where we already have we require developers to put in the storm. They have to figure that out. That's why there's storm water detention ponds. So usually the impact fee doesn't necessarily need to, but like on an individual home, like when someone builds a home, if there's stormwater available, they just connect. But that's where the impact fee would apply, is on individual home lots. But if it's a development, then the developer puts in all the infrastructure for stormwater, so it really hasn't been a issue.
So why would it need fee then on to the
We-
resident?
Just for the ongoing maintenance and,
I see.
and projects, new projects, so. It just
We've,
spreads it out
There's
citywide.
some-
we've never collected on that.
I don't think there's, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, years ago, we looked at, I think we actually even did a study to determine what we would need in order to put in a storm drain system. And determined at that time not to put in, or not to charge an impact fee specifically for a storm drain, and have each development handle their own storm drain, which is not a real efficient method of doing it, but it's the best that we could do. So we've got a lot of retention ponds rather than detention ponds. We've, you know, there is overflows, but they're into ditches and that type of thing. But what the fee does is it covers existing deficiencies. And the developer should, as part of that, I'd strongly advise that we do a study to determine what type of impact fee should be charged to new development as it comes in to assist in, the fee will cover existing deficiencies, and that'll be an important part of the impact fee evaluation. Because they want to know how you're gonna get your level city up to this level. And right now, we don't have a level. But they're gonna want to know how to do that. Well, we're gonna do that through charging fees on everybody. And then we can charge an impact fee on new development. It's fair to charge an impact fee on new development as it comes in to pay for part of the system improvements, system-wide improvements. And so that's a study that we've looked at and wanted to do, and I think probably in the archives somewhere, we have a,
That was a while ago though. wasn't
oh,
it?
it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I mean,
It's 20 years ago.
begs a new study then, is that correct?
I think it should,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or even to determine what the maintenance rate should be based on what we currently have, so they'd have to assess.
I like the idea of a study that makes whatever you're gonna do defensible.
Yeah,
Actually,
I
state
just-
law requires that, so.
So
just hadn't come up since I've been here, and then we have an ordinance for it, so I
It was,
So when you say.
basically asking Tony if he remembers.
it was a long time ago, and I remember discussing it, but it was quite a while ago.
Institutional
It
memory.
was quite a while ago.
So when you say ordinance, there's no action that we're taking tonight.
No, it's just on our books already, so we could,
So
just
the
wanted to
ordinance
bring.
is there, but it probably
We
could
don't-
be updated then, I would suppose, after the impact study.
Yeah, we could create a new fund for it, a new enterprise fund, and track it that way, but we could start with some minimal stuff, but we do run into, every project runs into stormwater issues. The plaza, for example, I think 400,000 of that whole project's just dealing with stormwater. Just putting,
1.6 million project, isn't it?
Mhm.
Holy smokes.